Body Counts in the House featuring Ice-T. You know, sometimes it's just nice playing a song that's not that demanding. So enjoy this one. First thing is, I was watching some videos looking for some tabs, anything to get a head start on a song that I'm working on. And they're talking about the tuning, and one of them it was a full-on tune to C or something of that nature. And it turns out that this song is just E flat, so if you've ever tuned to a Slayer song, you can tune to this song. And if you've come to learn this song, obviously that's why you're here. And if you enjoy this one, I strongly suggest you take a look at the DRI gun control tab that I did, because it's the same tuning. You're not going to have to change anything on your guitar, and the complexity is about the same. And interestingly enough, they've got like gunshots and stuff as sound effects in the background. So, and there's a lot of ands in the similarities of these songs. It's a crossover song. So this Body Counts in the House is a crossover rap to metal, and the DRI gun control is a crossover of punk to thrash. So if you're enjoying playing this one and you like the tab on it, go take a look at the DRI, and I'll try to remember to put the link on the back of this video when I make it. So the tabs are really straightforward. I'm not going to do any guitar playthroughs on this one, but you can always look at, or actually separate slowed down playthroughs attached to this tutorial. But you can always look at the playthrough, and I'll have a link to that one. And so I'm looking over this riff, seeing if there's anything that needs to be talked about. And it's really about tone and about playing it in lockstep with him as best you can. And so if your tone's a little off, it's not going to have the oomph. So this tone, and I can't even tell you what was unique about it. I don't remember what was clipped. I don't remember if the mids were clipped on it, if the bass was a little bit clipped, but they worked at it. They did their own tone, and their tone works for their riffs. And that's a side note. When you're making a riff and you're jamming out on your half stack, if you still got a half stack, or like me, it's a PA, you're playing riffs to your tone, meaning that if you're gonna attack the strings a little harder, if you're gonna mute it a little more, a little less, if you're going to do more galloping or less galloping, it's because it's sounding good. And the reason, because it's sounding good, it's derived by your tone. Obviously, if you got to be playing clean and you got to have some decent technique, but your tone is going to determine what kind of treatments that you're doing will make it sound good. So remember that. And this is my opinion, but every artist that's out there that's written a catchy song, most likely they wrote it to that tone. So that's kind of more motivation. If you really want to get the feel out of that song that you've spent so much time learning, dial in a tone. So tab page 1, not a whole lot going on here. So let's take a look at tab page 2. And it's more of the same. And guess what? There's only like 2 pages to this song, except for page 3 where I did my own version of the solo. And the solo was interesting in that they're really hidden in the mix. And that makes me wonder, was the guitarist that did the solo, was he not really that enthusiastic about it? And him and the producer basically say it doesn't need to stand out. Was it done just to be there? It's also kind of in an interesting place. The solo doesn't seem to be like smack dab in the middle of the song. It kind of seems more towards the front end. So this is my version of the solo. I'll put that in there in tab page 3. And I cut it short a little bit. He starts doing some fast stuff on the back end, but when it's buried in the mix, it's hard to tell what they're doing. Oh, another thing about attacking some of these solos. I don't consider myself a solo guitarist. Nowadays I just consider myself a guitarist, and if I can do the solo, I do the solo. What was I going to say about that one? Oh, sometimes note for note isn't justified. Sometimes it is. I did some COC stuff. The solos were kind of melodic-ish. They stood out. They weren't hidden in the mix. And they weren't that fast. So, in my opinion, note for note was warranted. But if it's buried in the mix, if they didn't really give it a whole lot of love, why should you? It's kind of the way I'm starting to think about this as I'm noodling around on these things. So, hope you enjoy it. Have a great day.